Hello and welcome to FleeceFolk Diary. My name is Azra and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as the Duchess of Sussex. I thought I'd sit down and discuss a few things that have come off my needle that were pretty unplanned, and they seem to all be centered around accessories, which is not a surprise because it's been a very cold winter here in Australia. So I thought I'd just get to it and show you a few things that I have been doing. By the time I publish this, the pattern that I'm wearing should be released. I believe it's been released at the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show, which is Australia's largest gathering of all the sheep and wool folk. I've been to Bendigo once and it was a memorable experience. My first Bendigo was actually online, and that's what started this whole thing, because it was, I think, 2021, or it was a COVID year, and I had just been introduced to it, and that prompted me, and it was sort of through a YouTube live stream. So I was like living that entire weekend, like making breakfast with my laptop just on the kitchen counter, and someone was doing a demo of drop spindling, and that prompted me to buy my first drop spindle. And yeah, then, you know, the virus bit me and that was that. So this is what I'm wearing. This is something I've been living in. I spoke about this in the last, not the last video, my Tour de Fleece prep video, because I was wearing it then. Ever since this has come off my needles, I have not stopped wearing it, to the point where it is pilling. It is pilling because it is the soft yarn, and that's just the price you pay for softness when it comes to wool. I am wearing the Homey Cardigan by Vera Marku. Vera Marku can be found on Instagram as Vera Loves Knitting, and I have tested her long paddock jumper before, which hasn't featured yet but will soon. But the Homey Cardigan is exactly as it sounds. I've loved just, you know, doing that. I've knitted this was a very quick knit. I managed the entire thing on 4.5mm needles. I'm very sorry to say I'm not sure how that translates to the US sizes, but you'll be able to figure it out. You're clever people. All the notes that I have on this are on my Ravelry page. I knit this post-op, and I knit this in 6 days from start to finish. Have I gotten the right buttons? Don't look at the buttons. The buttons, we don't talk about them because I don't want to do it up. I do want to wrap it. I want to just, it's so cozy. I am an avid bracelet length sleeve knitter. I don't like my sleeves to do this. With the Homey Cardigan, all day, all day. I just love it. It is so cozy. I can sort of swaddle myself in it. I knit this in Bendigo Woolen Mills Luxury 10 ply. That's the main black color. The stripes for the body are actually from Stash. It is Bendigo Woolen Mills Rustic in the 12 ply. So the Rustic range is their non-superwash range. I think people have been campaigning for them to bring it back, and they kind of did this year when they came out with the Rustic Tweed, which I can't wait to get my hands into. I do have some in Stash, but I thought I would mix it up a little bit. I had a skein of Malabrigo Machida. I really need to learn how to pronounce that. I feel like I'm being very disrespectful. I'm so sorry. Malabrigo Machida. Chiquitita. Let's say Machida. In the colorway, is this Hojas? I'm not sure, but it's this variegated blue, green, and against the black, it gives such a good amount of interest without being boring. And I think it fools people into thinking that the striping on my body is also the Malabrigo, but it's not. I didn't have enough of it to go around. The great thing about this pattern, a few things I love about this pattern. One is the standard Vera Marku thing, which is to say knit until you've knit to X length without saying knit this many rows. Not that she doesn't do that, but it just helps because sometimes gauge is just a feeling, and row gauge especially is just so hard to find, so hard to hit. So I really appreciate that about her patterns. The other thing is that she gives you the yardage required or the meterage required if you wish to knit the cuffs in a different color, the button band in a different color, and the hem in a different color. So the hem I actually kept to the black luxury, so you can really customize the entire thing. I so badly want to knit a second one, but I have a few commissions in the mix and some unexpected knits I'll show you that I've knit because I've needed them. So I've been a little time poor, but love it, love it, love it. You can knit it really fast. It's super comfy. I can't say enough nice things about the Homey Cardigan, which is hopefully released by now, or I'll have to cut this, but that's okay. The next thing off the needles was actually something I spoke about in my first episode. It is still wet, and you're about to see my thrifty crafting. I really don't spend that much money on my craft supplies, and a lot of that is privilege because my partner, who you can find on Instagram as the Duke of Sussex, we run a little dusty operation, just decided he can create sock blockers out of coat hangers, which you can do. So here you go. Is it perfect? No. But I have seen these around. I've seen sock blockers that are commercially available that are genuinely bent out of like the metal, it's like steel coat hangers. Anyway, here they are. This is self-striping DK weight yarn from Half Baked Hand Dyed. I spoke about how she's one of my favorite Australian self-striping yarn dyers and yarn dyers in general. Danny has a really great eye for color, and this colorway is special because this was picked out by my mate Erica, who is on Instagram as by Corolla Down Under. She does a lot of natural dyeing, used to, but she's an excellent spinner. She recently spun ragdoll. Go follow her, go give her some love and tell her I sent you. Why not? I love these. This is my first time using the pattern by Albina McLaughlin, which is the basic socks with an integrated heel. And I think I spoke about this previously, but it really, the fit on the heel, I'm going to put it on. It's slightly damp. I am drying it because I do want to pack it for my trip tomorrow. The heel sits so comfortably, and for self-striping yarn, it really maintains the stripe pretty evenly. Whereas in other socks that I've made with self-striping yarn, the striping at the heel, because of the way I knit the heel flap and gusset and the short rows, it's just not as niche. Let me put this on. I start, oh, it's so good. Hello. I've got this is not graceful. Sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. Oh, I'm getting so distracted. I love it. I recommend you buy the pattern because the pattern covers a junior sock all the way to like a gigantic man foot, you know, like the basketball player foot size, I believe. There's a whole chart. And it covers it for fingering weight yarn, for sport weight yarn, and for DK weight yarn, and lace weight. I don't know, bang for buck with that pattern. Albina's, I believe she's an academic actually, and it comes through in her pattern writing because it's very technical and you can tell that she is teaching through her patterns. So I really appreciate that. I love my Erica socks. yeah, and I do a lot of sock knitting, and I'm thinking I don't have a lot of. I actually washed some of my socks this morning. Isn't that just a happy sight? Am I revealing too much about myself? Anyway, here you go. I'll do a quick story. These are most of my hand knit socks because I'm such a generous person. I gift a lot of my hand knit socks. This is a Hermione's Everyday Socks, a free pattern with, I love a garter edge heel flap and gusset slip stitch heel. And this is knit in Lavender Fields colorway from Jocomoma Textiles. This is a sock tube that I knit, and out of the tube I actually got 2 pairs of socks. I kept one for me and gave one to a really dear friend of mine, who I know is my biggest sock supporter. I love making socks for her because I know they are worn. I want people to wear holes through all the socks, because it just makes it's a fingering weight sock. It makes the labor so worth it. And it is an afterthought heel, so I knit the sock tube and then did an afterthought heel and toes and cuffs, because out of that tube I had to cut it into it a few times. This yarn is gorgeous. I love putting it into I got a pair of garden clogs from Bunnings. Bunnings is Australia's sort of massive hardware store, and it looks like a gumboot, but it's a clog, and I love it just to, you know, put the garbage out, go for a quick stroll up and down the street kind of thing. The yarn is from Knit or Dye. I believe she's now based in Brisbane. I don't know, but she's an Australian dyer, and the colorway is called Equality, which I thought was just darling. So I love that. This Shatra's number is again, she loves a garter edged heel flap. These are kind of shorties. I don't pull my cuff up, the leg of my I don't want the leg of my socks to be that long, so I don't usually bother. So these fit me just fine. This is John Arbon's Exmoor sock. Yeah. And I panicked because finishing a sock is a really new concept to me, and what changed it for me is Kath Martin's Canberra socks, which is a DK weight sock. She's on Instagram and on YouTube as Mindful Melbourne Maker, and she's changed my sock knitting life, and therefore my gift knitting life, and therefore contributed to my life in a very meaningful way. But I knit a lot of socks, and I kind of stopped because the heels would always stump me, and I'd have to, sorry about the noise, I'd have to go back and consult the pattern when all I wanted to do was just be on autopilot. I can be on autopilot now thanks to her. I bought the John Arbon socks come in 50-gram hanks, and because sock yarn comes in 100-gram hanks, I panicked that I only had 50 grams. I didn't realize I was just buying a 50-gram hank. I thought I'd need more for the second pair of socks, so I actually knit the sock shorter, the leg shorter, but managed to get a whole pair of socks out of the 50 grams. So now I know that for an average pair of socks, 50 grams of a sock yarn does me just fine, because I think I've spoken previously about how I really struggle to finish a 100-gram ball of sock yarn. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully that's the last of the distractions. Okay, so I was talking about how I always struggle to use up a full fingering weight / 4-ply skein of sock yarn. But that leads me to my next project, because for the first time in a long time, I have finished a skein of fingering weight sock yarn. And the skein started in this project. So this is the Vortices Unite by Stephen West, and I've knit this in a selection of yarn from Australian yarn dyers. I've got Rhonda from Three Trees Fibercraft in here. I have the red here is called Red Rock. It's by Sally Ridgway Designs. She's down in Tasmania. She works with a lot of Tasmanian merino, and I believe Polworth as well, which is great. Trusty favorite, Kristen from Skein yarn in New South Wales up in Coffs Harbour. This is her colorway Tamarind. This was a gift from an old colleague. This is a 4-ply from Black Wattle Yarns. I believe they're based in Canberra in the ACT. And the charcoal is actually 3-ply from Bendigo Woolen Mills in Victoria, held double. So I love that this project it's my first finished object from a Stephen West pattern, but I love that it's sort of a song of a bunch of Australian yarn. I'm very proud of it. But I had yarn left over from this, and what I've been recently wearing a lot is my Oslo hat. let me just, please hold. Okay, I've been wearing my Oslo hat heaps. This was knit as part of a cowl somebody started in just like a random group chat on Instagram. This is my Oslo hat, my first one, spoilers. This yarn is, the Oslo hat is by a pattern by Petite Knit, and it's supposed to be knit with holding 2 strands of a 4-ply or fingering weight yarn. But at the time, I don't think I had what I wanted in stash. I had this in stash that I really wanted to knit with. This is the Industry Way colorway from Maximu. The camera is really not picking up the subtle pinks and greens and yellows among the black and the white. I really love it. I've been wearing it a lot out and about. I am actually not an accessories girl when it comes to, especially when it comes to beanies. I sometimes wear my hair curly or straight, and I usually like to wear my hair up high, and that doesn't let me wear beanies a lot. But I had leftovers from this, and I thought, oh, I'd love another one of this because this doesn't go with all my outfits. So I cast on a second one, and what prompted the cast on was an end of financial year sale from one of my favorite new yarn dyers from South Australia. It's Julianne from Lovebird Lane, and this is what prompted it. Oh, it's really not catching. I'm gonna put a photo of me unwinding this skein and just laying it, and I did a little photo shoot with her. It was just, can I catch it? This is called Blazing Berries or something like that. And it's entirely my color palette, and it made me think of this project. What freaked me out was looking at the Oslo hat measurements for the adult women's size, I think it's size 3, and realizing that 1 skein of sock yarn may not be enough. This I think came with a meterage of like 366 meters or something like that, so not quite the 400 meters you get with an average 100 gram sock yarn, but I was in love with the color, and I thought, that's okay. I can dive into stash and find some colors that might complement it as a contrast for the brim. So that's how this started. I cannot for the life of me photograph this brim to show off how the 2 different colors I've held together are working in it. I think in sunlight it will pick it up so much better. Oh gosh, this is awful quality photography, that is. This is yet to be washed or blocked because I have also been wearing this since it came off the needles. For this brim, have I woven in the ends? That's actually nobody's business, including mine. And it doesn't matter. It's more insulation. What I love about the Oslo hat is that when you fold it over, you are wearing 3 layers. So it's really warm in the portion that covers your forehead and your ears. I've held together the Tamarind and the Red Rock. Where are you, Red Rock? Which is the red stripe here. And in the right lighting it comes out, but maybe not for that. And then for the body of the hat, I have Blazing Berries by Lovebird Lane. I'm so thrilled that I found her. I don't know where she's been hiding. I'm really glad that I managed to score an advent from her this year, so I really look forward to that. I think there are some dyers, and now she's part of that list for me, where the colors we gravitate to just click. Skein yarn, Kristen is one of them for sure. Julianne is my new color bestie. She just gets it. Yeah, I can't wait to show you her. Advent. See, the top needs blocking. The Oslo hat is a great pattern. I knit this entire thing on 3.5mm needles. Ooh, the coordination is cool. Oh, I'm so pleased. I will be wearing it on my next trip down somewhere cold. I'll see if I can get some footage, but very, very happy with my Oslo hat. All right. The thing that I knit that prompted this episode of knitting out of necessity, the Oslo hat is really not a necessity because I already have one. It was just a nice to have, are these mittens. This is out of some Handspun. So in October of last year, I received a bag of mystery fleece from someone on Facebook. I bought it. I didn't just randomly get it in the mail. And I'll insert a picture of the fleece. I am yet to identify what this breed is. It came from a region in Australia. It came from Victoria in, I think, the Macedon Ranges. It's possible that it's just sort of passed down from person to person. I believe there's a lot of Corriedale and Finn in those parts, but if you're from Victoria or if you have knowledge of the breeds that exist there, please let me know. It could be a Merino cross. It is extremely soft. It is extremely fine. And I think it's just the naughtiest sheep fleece I've ever received because there were so many grass seeds. I sat, even when I was spinning, at every stage of the process, from skirting to washing to spinning to knitting, I've been picking out grass seed. So I think that's cute. I think all animals should be naughty and should do what they want. And I'm so happy that, you know, they had a quality of life that hopefully was fun or continue to have. I don't know how old the fleece is. I don't have a ball of this, do I? I must do somewhere. But anyway, I needed a pair of mittens. I live in a very cold place, and I was really struggling to go to sleep because my hands were just as cold as ice, so I wanted to knit a pair of mittens. I never thought I lived in a climate that required me to knit mittens because, you know, I live in Australia, but my God, did I need them, and they're a godsend. I'm so happy with these. They are so soft. I still get my opposable thumbs so I can express, you know, agreeance or say good job to somebody. And the pattern is free. The pattern's name is The World's Simplest Mittens, which is so true. I knit this in one night and then this over like 2 halves of a day, so it really won't take much. When I held the yarn double on 3.75mm needles, I was able to knit around a DK weight gauge, and I love them. I do want another pair of them, I think. I wish I had, oh, maybe if I can do it out of more of the yarn left over from this and I could have a set. I do recommend it. Free pattern. Tin Can Knits, you really can't go wrong. You know, I've knit the flax sweater before. This is my second sweater from her, or from the team. I think it's just one person. I should learn their names. But not bad for Handspun either. I mean, you know, you can kind of see that when you leave neps in your... This has been worn into quite a bit, by the way, so a lot of it might be pilling. But when whatever you leave in your singles will come to haunt you in the final yarn, but I really don't mind. I love the rustic look of them. I love looking down at them and thinking, oh my God, you know, a few months ago, it was just in a random garbage bag. And now I have a garment out of it, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I have taken some notes on this also in my Ravelry. The other and final object that I want to show that is finished are this pair of socks. Oh, yeah. This is part of a luxe sock set by Natural Fiber Arts Co. or Natural Fiber Co. She was based in Brisbane in Queensland and has since moved to Western Australia, where she is starting her own yarn store. I believe it's called Cozy Cottage Yarn. So I'll link all that because I think they are opening their doors very soon in August. So if you're in the area, go give them some love. Luxe is right because it is really, really soft. It is merino nylon. It is a DK weight sock yarn, and it came with the contrasting chocolate and pink yarn minis with this. When I knit my other DK weight socks, I had barely a bit of the ball left, so I really thought, yep, let's knit DK weight socks again. I could probably knit another pair of these. So I don't know what it is. Oh, I'm grateful for the yarn. I'm sure I could make a matching pair, maybe for my sister. That'd be cute. Something possessed me. All my socks, ever since I learned it, have a Norwegian twisted cast on. And I knit all my socks cuff down. I think toe up is crazy. I didn't decide, I did say I was possessed, to knit them matching but not. So one of them has a chocolate heel and toe, the other has a pink heel and toe. There's kind of like a Neapolitan pistachio ice cream, these vibes. And then I've flipped it for the heels as well. And I think these came off my needles really fast because I knew that at some point, if I stopped, I would become extremely hyper-aware and conscious of the contrast and think it was a stupid idea. So before that cemented in my brain, I had to just keep going. And thank you so much to our knit group for encouraging me to keep going and telling me that it looked good. I am glad I did it. I don't have a pair like this in my wardrobe. I'm happy to keep adding to my sock collection because, as previously discussed, they are the easiest things for me to gift. It's still a lot of work, but a lot of the socks I've knitted I have given away, which I'm grateful for. I'm happy about. But anyway, trying to sort of practice self-care in a way of doing something for me as well. I'm going to finish with some acquisitions because I'm in a socky space. I'm in kind of a low buy, no buy stage. I feel that sock yarns are an easy way in because now that I've discovered I can hold something double and knit an entire sock skein into an Oslo hat, dangerous knowledge, but also great because then I can just use things up. Okay, I think for the first time ordered from Maker Moran. They are based in Queensland, and this is a new colorway called Vexed. You get it. I've got a thing. I've got a thing for reds. It's got these sort of black speckles in there as well. I've really got to do something about how color appears on screen, but anyway. Is that better? Not really. This is on her Soft Sock 4-ply base. It's 75% Australian superwash merino and 25% nylon. And to 100 grams, there are 390 meters, which is fab. With this, I just had to order this set of Progress Keepers that I've been eyeing on her Etsy store. Are these? It's a chicken and a tray of eggs. Ugh, I'm enamored. I can't wait to use these two in a project. I love keeping things together as they come. Sorry, I just shook you there. And then green tea yarns, I believe Sadie is based in Victoria. I'm pretty sure. Had an end of financial year sale, and I did indulge. She had 25% off, and she didn't have one of the colors I ordered, so then I swapped it for something else, and I am grateful that happened because I've always wanted to try this or see this colorway in person. I believe she had a club that ran where the colorways were inspired by moths. I don't want to put photos because I know some people are freaked out by moths. I'm the same with snakes. I can't see photos of them, so I'll just show you. This is the first one, and it's got these gorgeous, oh, the color is not translating, but it's sort of rusty brown orange. I love that. And this is called the Helena Gummoth #1. And all of my skeins from her are on her Darjeeling DK sock set. So she's green tea yarns, and her labels are sort of like tea labels, and her yarn bases are named after tea varieties. So her socks are on Darjeeling socks. This says DK. Is it? Might be a variation, could be a mislabeling. I think it's mislabeled. I think this is just a fingering weight. I'm really excited for this. They do smell great. They smell really great. Another thing about Lovebird Lane, her yarn smells amazing. And I don't mean in a sheepy way. I mean in like a fresh cotton spring, but not fruity. Like I want my clothes to smell like that. So that's the first from Green Tea Yarns, her moth collection. And then another from her moth collection caught my interest. This typical, these are my colors, pink, not always. This is the pink, purple, lilac. And this is the Darjeeling sock in Granny's Cloak, #1. I love the thought of that. It makes me think of like the professors from Harry Potter and their sort of, what I imagine their cloakrooms to smell like, sort of mothball-y, and I love that. I love these colors. I can't wait to knit a sock with that. I am currently knitting a pair of socks. Maybe I do show it. In an attempt to use up more sock yarn, I'm trying a 3x1 rib, but I'll get to that. I'll finish with this order first. And then my unexpected but delightful guest is Darjeeling sock again. And this colorway is called Someone's Sweater. And I think I've heard her talk about going to a cafe or somewhere, or eating outside, and seeing someone cross the road or someone in the public, and she just fell in love with the color of that person's sweater. So she has most of her bases dyed in this colorway called Someone's Sweater. And I relate to that so hard. Sometimes I look at sort of lichen on trees, or Australia has a lot of eucalyptus, gum trees, and when the bark sheds, the colors that are revealed are just gorgeous. They can sort of be this gray to rust to pinks. Anyway, I love drawing inspiration from everything around you. Okay, fine, I'll show my current sock. This is my current sock. There's my 3x1 rib. I did not know, and I'm still unsure about whether I cast on the right number of stitches. I do almost all my socks plain. If I don't do it plain, I knit the Hermione's Everyday Sock base, which I showed at the start of the video, as part of my sock drying circle thing. But I want to use a more yarn, and I wanted to keep it simple and basic with just a bit of interest. And I wanted a ribbed sock without it sort of stretching and looking super ribbed when I had it on. So that's why I opted for a 3x1 rib. So that's 3 knit stitches to 1 purl stitch repeating. I also started knitting socks in Magic Loop, which is so not me, but I completely understand how ergonomically it is really handy. So I'm testing it on this sock. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how I go with a heel and things like that. This is very special. I will have to feature her in another episode where I talk about kiwi yarn, yarn from our neighbors in Aotearoa. This is Autumn in April. It is a self-striping yarn by Mrs. Peacock Yarns. I have a few balls from her from recent drop. I'm reluctant to talk about her because her yarn goes really quickly and for good reason. So please leave some for me when you do go explore her Etsy store. But these colors are just, they're magnificent. I can't wait to finish up this sock. Anyway, so I usually do a sock on 60 stitches, but because I wanted a 3x1 rib and I knew the rib would cinch in some of the yarn, I know I can get away with a 64 stitch sock for a vanilla sock, but I've gone all the way up to 72 stitches for this to account for the cinching in of the rib. I also, didn't want the rib to be super stretched out on my foot. I don't love that look. I love this subtle sort of ridge that's formed. The reverse side is also pretty cool. Could do a sock in that, although it looks like a textural nightmare. Each to their own. Anyway, that's my current sock. Okay, I think I've yapped on for long enough about my current projects. It was nice to do an episode almost purely on just accessories because they have proven to be quite useful this season. So I will leave you there. Let me know what kind of nicher you are in terms of what you gravitate towards. I'd love to hear if you are an avid sock knitter, if you're someone that always has a sock on the go. I always have at least 2 socks on the go. I've just started dabbling in DK socks, so I might do a DK weight sock and a fingering weight sock, but as I've not kept it a secret, I love a lot of whips so that I can sort of pick and choose as my mood fits, or as it fits my mood. Mitts or mittens are becoming a new interest, and I'd love to knit some color work mittens. I wondered for a very long time the traditions of Northerners, so in I think Estonia, Latvia, and Scandinavia for sure, and their tradition of knitting colorwork mitts. I was thinking, gosh, that's a lot of work, but for what? But I realized when you do stranded colorwork and you're carrying yarn behind the stitch when the yarn is not appearing on the outside, what you're really doing is creating a double layer. So that provides a beautiful amount of insulation. I think that's what it is. I think that is definitely a factor for me to dabble in. So we'll see. We've got some things to get out of the way first. But beanies, mittens, new jam. But it's been lovely to sit down and sort of take a break to look at all the things that I've made, all the things that my hands can do. It's pretty satisfying. I do want a Handspun vertices United. I think that's definitely an idea. Sometimes I think of, or in my stash I have a lot of 100-gram hand-dyed braids, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll create a yarn out of this, and then what can I get out of that 100 grams in terms of a garment? There's only so many colorwork yolks, and then those yolks need a main color to carry through. But accessories are a great way to use up those yarns, those smaller quantities, or relatively smaller quantities, and this one especially lets you play with so much and so many different yarns and colorways. So maybe these are all plans. I have a lot of plans, a lot of ambitions, a lot of hopes and dreams, but that's kind of cool. It's nice that I don't have like a creative block when it comes to that. Anyway, I'll leave you there. Thank you so much for all your comments and for all your encouragement and for being just so kind to me and to each other in the comments. I genuinely just started this as a way for me to look back on my journey, but it's nice to also hear about everything that you guys are up to, and I can tell that everybody is at different stages of their own journey, and it's just so nice to be a part of this community, and I don't take it for granted. So I hope you make something beautiful. I hope you keep your hands busy if that's what you need to get your mind away from the state of things as they are in the world. I hope you find solace in your craft or in something small to keep your heart full and do something to make you proud of yourself. Anyway, I'll leave you with that, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye bye.
Isn't it great?
I love it.
Yeah, and there's some little ones in the little pots too.
Yeah.
They're so fun. She makes all those little individual.
The unimaginable ones that she had were unbelievable.
I love it when collectors find pieces like that. Makes me really happy.